everybody, this is Alchemist 2, and I'm back again with another book review. This is Pope Francis, His Life in His Own Words, Conversations with Jorge Bergoglio, Francesca Amborghetti, and Sergio Rubin. And it's woefully short. I have to say that's the only thing I do not like about this book. And, let's see, it doesn't really tell me when the publication was made, unfortunately. It says 2010, but this book actually came out not too long ago, and it talks about Argentina in and of itself, the country, and the gauchos, and how they make their living, and how the gaucho should be well respected, even if he comes from a different walk of life, and just the country in and of itself. And he talks about pedophilia, which is a very hot button issue, and he said a lot of the padres, they don't look into their behavioral backgrounds, and this is one reason why pedophilia is such a problem and a very troublesome issue. And he said a lot of these fathers, they come from a background that they have been abused or something or other, and it needs to be addressed. They should have tests for them so they could weed them out, and etc. There is, even though it's still kind of a problem to this day and age, they're rooting it out. I really think that they're taking it into their own hands and dealing with it. And he talks about celibacy and how even if a father falls in love, then he should be able to marry and come back. But he said that the Catholic order is so strict that if one divorces, you can't have sacrament anymore. And there is truth to that, because I have Catholic friends, so I should know. I'm not Catholic myself, but I know these things. And I thought, oh, that's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry, but that's one thing I don't like about really Orthodox Catholicism, because it's so strict, and it's just so stern and cold. And he says this is what is causing the very stringent Catholicism to start to wane away, and we need to have more of a spirit of compassion and love toward our fellow human being. I thought, Jorge, this is why I love you. This is why I want to meet you and just tell you how much you inspire me, because he truly is the spirit of St. Francis. When I saw that dove, I thought, I know what his name's going to be, and I was right, so yay, another point for me. But he talks about growing up and how the vocation of priest came into his life, and his earliest kind of recollections with his parents, and how he speaks Piedmontese, which was the language of the village where he grew up in Piedmont. He speaks Spanish and Italian, smatterings of French, I do believe it said, and he also speaks English, but he said that his English wasn't that great. That English was the most difficult because he didn't have an ear for it. I thought, well, that's not really that much of a surprise, because English is a conglomeration of a lot of different languages, and it's very challenging. The syntax of the language and of itself, the colloquialisms, it's very difficult, and I've had this issue, and I'm going to go into a little bit of a personal story here about dialects. We had a very beloved friend who spoke 6 languages fluently, including Latin, and could recite an entire mass in Latin, and he was a fallaway Catholic and a little bit ornery at times, but we loved him, even though he was ornery. Yeah. we had a lot of fun. But he we told him this Jewish joke, this Yiddish joke, and the "Oi was I toisty" one, and I still think that is absolutely hysterical to this day. And he didn't get it. It's the whole thing. He didn't understand the whole accent because it's "Gosh, was I thirsty?" Though that's the whole. I mean, it's still it's funnier in Yiddish. It's not funny if you tell it in English because no one's gonna think, "Boy, was I thirsty?" Yeah. No, "Oi, was I thirsty?" That's funny. That's funny stuff. At least I think it's hilarious. But it's just like even though he's getting this Jewish guy is getting a glass of water from the passenger in the sub, um, he is he's still complaining about it. Go figure. But yeah, it would be very challenging for him to understand accents or just different types of meaning depending on homonyms, homophones, that sort of thing. Those are challenging as well. I should know, I'm a Bachelor of Arts. Yeah, that explains a lot. But this is a very short book, woefully short, but it is just so wonderfully done, and you get a lot of sense of the man Jorge himself and his humor, his warmth, his compassion for other human beings, and his kindness. And I love the fact that he really illustrates the virtues of Christ in this way. And we can learn a lot from Jorge. I think that kindness is the ultimate balm, and agape is one thing that we don't really understand, but we should generate toward our fellow man, even though sometimes it can be a little bit difficult with some people who are cantankerous, but kindness solves a world of ills. And I'd absolutely love this book. I just thought it was really exceptionally written, and it felt like that you were right there with Jorge and having an interview with him, and it was very personal and very intimate. And you feel like you're talking to an old friend at tea, and or just sitting down for a lunch and watching the people go by. It's that kind of setting. But that's all I gotta say. If you're a big fan of the Pope, and if you're like me and you aspire to try to be more like him, then I would definitely read it because you can learn quite a bit from his example. And I just think he's another magnificent human being like Mother Teresa was, who saw the face of God in every human being that she met in Calcutta. And that whole quote always comes to me, and I think, wow, yeah, we are all reflections of God. We just have to be very careful to remember that. And sometimes we're remiss, and we become forgetful when people rankle us. But sometimes you have to pray, "Dear Lord God, put a guard over my mouth and just help me to have the virtue of patience with some people." But he's got a lot of humor, and I would just love to be around him because he is a breath of fresh air, and he has so much. He's contagious, and I like that. And the world needs more people like Jorge, I think. And God bless him. And I really hope that I can meet him in person someday, because he's one of the many people that I really want to be like. At some point, I want to help people just like he does. And he's one person, but look at the impact, and he's doing a lot for Argentina too, and bringing awareness to his own country that's having some issues, being in this kind of situation that it's in right now. But I think that they're making progress, so good on Jorge for bringing that to the forefront. And he talks about just the Catholic Church and how it's changing, and thank God for that, because it's been in need of a makeover for years, and it should be more inclusive as a faith, rather than saying, "Oh, since you're no longer, you didn't do this, this, and this, or you did something." No, it's about forgiveness. Forgiveness is the virtue that we should practice. And he also brings that up in the interview, and it's just like I said, it's the most resplendent thing that you'll ever read, and just it's very touching, and it sticks with you, I think. And I'm glad I read it when I did, because I am not by any means perfect, but I forgive people, even though they've when I've been wronged.